The calm waters of the South China Sea hide a brewing storm, concealing tensions that simmer just beneath the surface. On the horizon, a Philippine supply boat inches forward, braving uncertainty as it approaches a stranded warship, the BRP Sierra Madre, a silent sentinel in contested waters. Suddenly, Chinese Coast Guard vessels surge forward, horns blaring in warning, aggressively blocking the path and escalating the standoff. Water cannons erupt, battering the smaller boat with relentless force, trying to force it back and send a message of dominance. This is Ayungin Shoal, a flashpoint in the South China Sea that could ignite a wider conflict and draw in regional powers. Every resupply mission is a dangerous recurring standoff, with each journey risking confrontation and potential escalation. The Sierra Madre, a WW2-era ship, was deliberately grounded here in 1999 to assert the Philippines' claim and serve as a permanent outpost. Filipino Marines endure harsh conditions, heat, isolation, and constant threat, yet remain resolute, holding their post against overwhelming odds. Chinese ships form a tight blockade, aiming to cut off the outpost, starve it of supplies, and force its eventual abandonment. Each supply run becomes a high-stakes test of will, broadcast to the world and watched by millions as tensions mount. The Filipino crew, outmatched but determined, navigates through chaos and danger to deliver vital supplies, risking their lives for their country's claim. China's message is clear and unyielding. This territory is ours, and we will defend our claim at any cost. The world watches, holding its breath, a modern David and Goliath at sea, as small nations stand up to giants. Ayungin Shoal lies well within the Philippines' exclusive economic zone, as affirmed by a 2016 international tribunal ruling in their favor. China rejects this verdict, insisting on its sweeping claim to nearly the entire South China Sea, redrawing boundaries on its own terms. What happens here could set the rules for how powerful nations treat their smaller neighbors for decades to come, shaping the future of international law and order in these contested waters. The BRP Sierra Madre is more than just a rusting hulk. It stands as a powerful symbol of Philippine sovereignty, a testament to the nation's determination to defend its territory no matter the odds. Once a U.S. Navy ship, the Sierra Madre was deliberately grounded at Ayungin Shoal in 1999, shortly after China seized nearby Mischief Reef. This bold move was meant to assert the Philippines' claim and prevent further encroachment. Now, it serves as a crumbling outpost, manned by a small group of Marines who endure harsh, isolated conditions far from home, cut off from comforts and family, but driven by a sense of duty. The ship's hull is riddled with holes, the deck barely habitable, battered by salt water and storms. Every day, a struggle against the elements. Yet these Marines are more than just soldiers. They are living proof of Manila's refusal to back down, standing firm in the face of overwhelming odds. Their presence physically blocks China from seizing the shoal and prevents the construction of yet another military base in these contested waters. Ayungin Shoal is a strategic choke point. Losing it would threaten vital shipping lanes, endanger the livelihoods of local fishermen, and shift the balance of power in the South China Sea. The Sierra Madre is a tripwire. Any attack or escalation here would be impossible for the Philippines and its allies to ignore, potentially drawing in international attention and response. Its silhouette is iconic, a stark reminder of the imbalance of power, yet also a beacon of hope and resistance. But it's also a story of resilience. As long as the flag flies and Marines stand guard, the Philippine claim endures, undiminished by time or adversity. The ship's decay is obvious, but its message is unwavering. Every crack and patch of rust tells a story of sacrifice and resolve. It's a physical stand for international law and national rights, a daily assertion that the Philippines will not yield its sovereignty. The world sees a lone, battered ship defying a fleet of modern vessels, a David among Goliaths, refusing to be intimidated. The Sierra Madre may be falling apart, but it's not abandoned. Supplies and support continue to reach the Marines, a lifeline that keeps hope alive. This is Philippine territory. Against all odds, the stand continues and the world is watching. President Marcos Jr. has drawn a red line at Ayungin Shoal. The death of a Filipino serviceman would be seen as an act of war. This warning is meant to deter China from escalating its harassment. It signals that Manila's patience has limits, and that lethal force will trigger a serious response. The red line is both a strategic deterrent and a message to the Filipino people. We will defend our sovereignty, It also strengthens the US-Philippines Mutual Defense Treaty, now clarified to cover attacks in the South China Sea. Any armed attack on Philippine forces or vessels could invoke US support, but drawing a red line is risky. It commits Manila to act if China crosses it. China could test the boundary, risking escalation. The world watches as Ayungin Shoal becomes one of the most dangerous flashpoints on the planet. The stakes are high, and a single misstep could spiral into conflict. Manila's resolve is clear, but so is the risk. The next move could change the region's future. China's tactics at Ayungin Shoal are classic examples of gray zone warfare, aggressive actions that are carefully calibrated to stay just below the threshold of outright war. These maneuvers are designed to assert control and intimidate, while avoiding direct military confrontation that could trigger a larger conflict. Instead of deploying its navy, China relies on its coast guard and a vast maritime militia, fishing boats that, while appearing civilian, ultimately answer to Beijing's orders. This allows China to project power in disputed waters without the overt use of military force. By mixing civilian and military assets, China blurs the line between peaceful activity and aggression. This ambiguity makes it extremely difficult for the Philippines to justify a military response, as any escalation could be portrayed as an overreaction. Chinese vessels swarm and block Philippine boats using water cannons, aggressive ship maneuvers, and sheer numbers to overwhelm and harass. These tactics are meant to disrupt resupply missions and assert dominance over the contested area. Sometimes, Chinese personnel even board Philippine rubber boats and seize supplies, escalating the confrontation without resorting to open violence. These actions are calculated to intimidate, exhaust, and wear down the resolve of the Philippine crews, all while avoiding moves that would provoke open conflict or international intervention. China claims it's simply defending its territory, releasing carefully edited videos and statements to paint the Philippines as the aggressor. This information campaign is a key part of the strategy, shaping perceptions at home and abroad. The result is a war of narratives, with both sides trying to win over international opinion. Outsiders are often left confused, and Manila's credibility is constantly undermined by China's relentless messaging. China's long game is to wait for the Sierra Madre, the Philippines' outpost, to collapse. By blocking repairs and making resupply missions increasingly costly and dangerous, China hopes to force a withdrawal without firing a shot. The blockade is relentless and unyielding, with Chinese ships maintaining constant pressure. The goal is to make life so difficult for the Philippine outpost that Manila eventually abandons it. It's a strategy of attrition. Pressure, not bullets, is the weapon of choice. The psychological toll on the defenders is immense. The world sees the tension and the standoffs, but the real battle is for time, patience, and resolve. International attention ebbs and flows, but the pressure on the ground never lets up. China is betting that the ship will fall apart before Manila gives in, using time as a weapon in this slow-motion siege. The standoff is a true test of endurance, not just strength. The Philippine Marines must hold out, day after day, under constant pressure and uncertainty. Every day, the pressure mounts, and the world watches to see who will blink first in this high-stakes contest of wills. What if China tries to remove the Sierra Madre? The consequences could be explosive. A direct operation surrounding the shoal and towing the ship would confront the Marines with an impossible choice: resist and risk annihilation, or surrender and face national humiliation. Manila's red line would be tested. A death could trigger the US-Philippines Defense Treaty. China might attempt a covert removal during a storm, but satellite surveillance makes secrecy difficult. More likely, China will keep up the blockade, hoping the ship collapses on its own. Any removal attempt would spark chaos, diplomatic fury, economic fallout, and pressure on the US to respond. Would this mean direct military intervention, or just support? The risk of miscalculation is huge. Towing away the Sierra Madre could push the region to the brink of war. The Ayungin Shoal standoff is a regional test case. Vietnam, Malaysia, and Brunei are watching closely. If China forces the Philippines out, others may yield, cementing Beijing's dominance. ASEAN could fracture, with some states aligning with China out of fear. But if Manila holds firm, it could inspire regional unity and more security cooperation with partners like the US and Japan. The fate of the Sierra Madre will shape Southeast Asia's future, either emboldening China or strengthening resistance. The standoff forces nations to choose between economic ties with China and security guarantees from the US. The ripples from this remote shoal could disrupt the region's delicate balance for years. The South China Sea is a global economic artery. 1/3 of world shipping passes through these waters. Any conflict, even limited, could close shipping lanes, spike insurance rates, and disrupt supply chains worldwide. Prices for oil, electronics, and goods could soar, pushing the global economy toward recession. The sea is also rich in oil, gas, and fisheries, resources vital to millions. A conflict would halt exploration and devastate regional fishing industries. For China, control means securing trade and energy routes, and leverage over rivals. The fight over a rusty ship is really a fight for a global economic choke point. One miscalculation could trigger not just a military, but a worldwide economic crisis. The Sierra Madre's vigil is about more than territory. It's a test of sovereignty in the modern world. Does might make right, or do international laws matter? The ship stands for a world where rules, not power, decide disputes. But the balance is fragile. Each encounter risks escalation. The international community's response will shape the outcome. Supporting the Philippines means defending a rules-based order. The fate of the Sierra Madre will reveal what kind of world we're building. As the sun sets over Ayungin Shoal, the question remains: how long can this beacon hold out?